Hello everyone, welcome to your FanTeam weekly monster stream. If you're here for kind of official FPL content, this isn't probably the stream for you. Josh and I will be talking about our selections for the FanTeam game. So if you're not registered with FanTeam, go and check it out, fanteam.com. You can basically pay entry into various different tournaments. The one we're going to be talking about is essentially like a free hit team of players, and you pick your team, and if they do well, you win some cash. Everything we're going to be talking about is obviously a form of gambling, as you've got to enter and to pay in. So be sure to check out gambleaware.co.uk, and it's for 18 plus users only. I'm joined, as always, by the last year's winner of the FanTeam overall competition. It's Josh. How are you, Josh?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How about yourself?
I'm very good. And not only did you win FanTeam last year, but you're doing quite well on the old Champions League game as well, I hear.
Yeah, I think it would be. I'm obviously thrilled with my position. I think I've got 10 of the top 15 teams at the moment, which is pretty crazy. But
I'm happy for you, but also furious.
But I have to at this point. I can't not. One of my best friends from uni is actually first and second at the moment, so I have to give him a shout out. His name's Jacob. His account name's CAFC95, and yeah, he's got the first and second positions, and he's also in 17th and 18th. So between us, we've got 14 of the top 20, which is just pretty surreal. But it's all still very close, and there's still 4 rounds to go, I think. So there's like one more quarter, then 2 semis and a final. So yeah, there's still 4 more rounds to go. So hopefully I can just get like a bit of money back from it, because I wasn't expecting too much when I entered this one. So because I think it's quite like it can go any way, you know what I mean? Because it's such a short form competition, like just the knockout round. You have to be pretty lucky with how the results drop, I think. So I'm glad to have that.
You would think that the higher variance, I mean, we know, I don't think you have to think it. The higher variance is surely going to be in the first round, and then potentially in this one. Surely when you get to the semis and you're in kind of like a top 10 position, it's going to be quite hard for someone to usurp you unless they get in, unless there's a complete shock result and someone goes like all out on Villarreal in the semi, I don't know, something like that. It's you've got to fancy your chances really of cashing out if you get to the semis in top 10.
Well, that's what Jacob did. Jacob went for 4 Villarreal defenders. And he just like hit it, like he just he just thought, right, I need to jack up the variance on this, so I need to just pick a result that's like other people aren't going to have. And one of his teams has flown from like way back and is now like 17th, like I say. So
that's outrageous.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. Yeah.
I was just happy that I picked Benzema because I was going to back Chelsea. I thought actually, I think Real Madrid would do a job there, but I didn't captain him. I went for Lewandowski. Lewandowski has killed me in the Champions League game because I capped him in the first match where he blanked. Took the captaincy off him in the second match, and then he got all those goals. And then I captained him again this week, and he's blanked. So talk about variance. I've been on the wrong side of it every time.
Can you make sure you don't captain him next week? Is that all right?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Or if I do, that might help you, and then you can go against him and get coming higher. All right, it's enough about Champions League. We're going to be talking about the Premier League monster, as I kind of mentioned before. Hi to Kev Mack, hi to Max Bosley, and hi to Mark Kerslake in the chat. Good to see you all, and thanks for everyone watching and listening on the podcast version or later on as well. So this is the Gameweek 32 weekly monster for this week. It doesn't include the match tomorrow night. So we start with Arsenal versus Brighton. What's the early kickoff tomorrow? Not tomorrow, Saturday, sorry.
I was literally just looking it up as you were talking.
I should have.
Everton United, boo. Everton, we don't want any of them. We don't want any of them.
So it doesn't include Everton United, doesn't include Newcastle Wolves. So it's Arsenal Brighton, Southampton Chelsea, Watford Leeds, Villa Spurs, Brentford West Ham, Leicester Palace, Norwich Burnley, and then the big one, it's Manchester City versus Liverpool. What games stand out for you here?
I think every game just looks terrible except for the last game. I just can't think of anything else but that last game. It's just, we've had one as important as this for a couple of seasons now, probably. I just can't wait to watch this game, and I think there's a few like kind prices in that game, to be honest. So I'm thinking I might be targeting it actually for a little bit. If I had to pick like 2 teams to win this weekend, like so avoiding that last game, I really, really fancy Burnley to beat Norwich after last night's result, especially. I just think they'll get the results they need now, and I think it'll come with like a dirty 1-0 win away at Norwich this weekend. I really think that's one I feel quite strong on. Actually, is there anything that stands out to you? Because I think these are all quite close. Actually,
I don't know. I feel like there is. I think Arsenal, Brighton, we are really bad, like really bad. I mean, we talked about Brighton Norwich at the weekend. We both kind of laughed. I was like, Brighton will be all right here. This should be a kind of comfortable win. 31 shots, no goals. We've scored 1 goal in 7 games and got 1 point in 7 games as well. I think it's, the Arsenal, I thought we were going to lose against Arsenal anyway. They were so bad against Palace. They're not going to be that bad again, even though they have lost kind of Tierney as well. I can just see us getting battered in this game. I just can't see us scoring. I think, we talk about our double up and our triple up. I think Arsenal keep a clean sheet in this game. We just can't score. Like we're just awful. Our attacking numbers aren't too bad, but it's just the same old story as it was last season. Good XG, no end product. Mopé typifying it as he always does. You've got to back Arsenal to win that game. And I think Spurs beat Villa as well, comfortably. So they're the two for me that I think. The Brentford-West Ham game is interesting as well, because I would imagine that Brentford are quite kindly priced on the Monster game. Are they not? No.
More than the West Ham players?
More than the West Ham players? Oh, okay, that's annoying. Because I fancy Brentford. No, I fancy Brentford in that game. I was hoping they might be a bit of a differential batch for us. I guess there might be even more of a differential batch, though, if they're highly priced, because people aren't going to select Brentford players, potentially.
That'll be huge differentials this week. Yeah. If you really fancy sort of West Ham to have some sort of Europa League hangover, I think Tony's 9-2, for example. I mean, we'll come on to the more specifics in a minute, but yeah, I just think I think they're like basically the same price as West Ham, whereas I expected West Ham to be more expensive. You know what I mean? So I think it's a really interesting one, yeah. And I think that's the case in quite a lot of them. Like the Watford and Leeds assets are both quite pricey as well, because they've just like priced them the same basically on both sides. So yeah, I think I've noticed quite a bit of that when I've looked at the prices, to be fair. The Arsenal defence is interesting because I do think without Tierney, they go down quite a few tiers actually in how good they are defensively, but that they might not even need it against you, as you say, because I think you just got such low confidence in any result at the moment, haven't you? Really, it's just like
I'm in my new Brighton top, which arrived just literally seconds before we came live. Got my old Lamptey on the back, but we are terrible, just absolutely terrible at the moment, and I fancy it. I just can't see it improving between now and the end of the season. I think we're just gonna. We're safe, like just about. We'll get through to the end, and then they've got to look at the team and and why this keeps happening year on year under Potter. So yeah, we will see. Right, okay, let's go on to building our team. Then so who are your kind of first names that you look at? I mean, looking at the kind of the price list, Lacazette is the most expensive player this season, this week, 11.6. Romelu Lukaku at 11, probably not going to play. Even Nketiah at 10.6, so I can see straight away they're favouring Arsenal in this matchup. Then you've got Harry Kane 10.1, Dennis down there in 9.8. Okay, so there isn't, like last week when we were doing it, there was so many players above kind of 11, 12 million. So there isn't anyone over 12 million, which is interesting. But who's your first kind of picks?
Well, first of all, I'd observe that normally we have like you say 13 million, 12 million. I think it's because City are playing Liverpool basically. I think it just shows how much better they are than everyone else in the league. Like, so they have to bring those prices down only when they're playing each other basically. You know what I mean? So I really like it this week. I think it's wide open. As you say, I think when we're looking at Tottenham, I think it's better. Like the data shows that it's better to pick Son when they're at home and Kane when they're away. So immediately I'd skew towards Kane, I think, for this week. I think Kane away at Villa is great, as you said. And he only got 1 assist last week, but he still got man of the match, I think. He was really good last week. He played really, really well. So, it's one of
the best centre forward performances I've ever seen. And I know it was against, Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle have been decent, but I mean, I've seen Kane drop deep before and influence the game, but to the level that he did in that match, every single thing he did was like top quality. Everything. It was incredible. There's no other striker in world football that could do that. That could do that kind of performance, that kind of passing, that kind of range. Winning the ball back. It was, brilliant.
I think it's the kind of performance that anyone who sort of, not who doubts him, but probably doesn't give him the elite respect he deserves. Like probably even they probably had to be like, that was phenomenal to watch. You know what I mean? And to go with that, the 5-6 weeks before, he's been banging in goals for fun. You know what I mean? So he added that sort of performance side of it to the just like volume of shots and the goals he's been getting in the weeks before. I think Harry Kane this week. I think I can't say it strongly enough. Yeah, it's and you really do you fancy an Arsenal attacker, or do you think the defense is more what we should go for? Because I like both, to be honest.
You've got to have Saka, I think. He is 12.2. That's interesting because he doesn't appear on the.
You were filtered on the strikers before, I think, just the strikers, because you're only reading out strikers' names. So I was like,
oh, what am I doing? There are players over 12 million. There's two of them. There's Smith Rowe at 12 and Saka at 12.2. But I would not want to go into this without Saka.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think that, like you say, I think it's weird because Arsenal had a really bad performance on Monday, but we know that was sort of an anomaly, I think. Whereas with Brighton, it's been happening for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I think we just have to think that's the norm now, you know what I mean? So I like the idea of an Arsenal bounce back, I think. Yeah, I think that could be really...
What about in defence then?
I think it's any of the four that will start. I think we know Cedric's going to play. I don't mind the goalkeeper as well. I think the goalkeeper's probably okay as well. Is he like 10-1?
10-1, yeah.
You always have to pay a bit more for goalkeepers, no matter which team it is. Like the goalkeeper's always a bit more than the defenders. You know what I mean? So I think it's fine to go Ramsdale and one of Cedric or Gabriel. I think.
Because we'll know Cedric's going to play, right? Because it's the 3:00.
Yep, exactly. And he's the most attacking of the four defenders for sure. You can't really pick Tavares because even if he does start again, you're always worried he's going to get hooked off because if he looks horrendous like he does most games. So yeah, I think Cedric's the safer play, and I've been told he can play at left back or right back as well. So if Tomiyasu ever comes back, I think it's sort of likely Cedric just goes to left back, I think, or worryingly for FPL managers.
It's amazing he's kind of Saka or Martinelli came on and played at left back as well, which is interesting.
That's worrying, isn't it? Yeah, it's so.
Yeah. Do you reckon go with double Arsenal defence, or should we just go for Cedric for now?
Let's just go for Cedric for now. I mean, there's not too many defences I'm keen on. I'll throw a few ideas at you now if you want, but
do it.
Like Trent and Robertson are very cheap. Now they're playing Man City, but they are very cheap, and maybe they're worth it just for the attacking output they might get.
6.5.
Yeah, and 6.4. Now I just think that's too cheap. So I'd advocate going for one of those. I think for sure. Yeah, I just love those prices this week, and these are the things you have to spot. Like, I don't know if you remember, but I think about 5-6 weeks ago, it was when Tottenham played City, and Kane and Son were just like 5 million each or something. And I just said I have to play them at this price, and it was obviously the week they got lucky and Tottenham started to look good all of a sudden. So yeah, I think this feels similar to that to me. Like it feels like Liverpool are just too cheap, and like Salah's 9.2 for example. 9.2, I think that's like when Lacazette's 12 or whatever. I just think Salah's just infinitely better than that.
Let's go for Trent and Salah then. Let's back the Liverpool. Let's have a quick look at the City players. So they're more. So De Bruyne is 10.7, Foden 10.4. In defence, Cancelo 8.4. So 2 million more than Trent. So clearly fancy City. I guess they've got the home advantage.
Yeah, the home advantage is everything. And sometimes you have to just play against that. Like if, in my mind, Salah is at least as good as De Bruyne, and in my mind, Trent is at least as good as Cancelo this week. So I just think it makes sense to take the saving in both spots, to be honest, and just hope it's 3-1 Liverpool or something like that with some attacking returns.
I agree. Just looking at the list of forwards, Tony at 9.2, I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. So one of my other defensive shouts was because I can't see many clean sheets. Like we've got the Arsenal one locked, but I think other than that, I'm really struggling. So I didn't mind Cresswell at 7.6 because he's very attacking, but I was more looking at like the attacking return. You know what I mean? So if you fancy Tony, I'm happy to like not pick Cresswell. You know what I mean? And let's go with Tony because
I fancy Tony.
He has the penalties. He's playing at home. I think West Ham could be really, really tired after tonight's game. So I think it's absolutely fine. And Brentford have had some amazing results last 2 weeks, haven't they? They've, like that Chelsea result is just out of this world. To be honest, it's a great result. So.
Well, I mean, you said they were quite pricey, but I mean, Eriksen's 7.9.
Yeah, so he was cheaper. Well. I think Mbeumo was 8.6 though, right?
8.6, yeah.
I was comparing like Mbeumo to Souček, and I think Souček was like 8.2 and Mbeumo was 8.6, and I was like, it's a bit weird that he's more. I think that those two should be about the same. But yeah, it's all good.
Eriksen's 7.9 though. Don't mind that. If we do target this West Ham game, I think they're going to be a bit tight.
I think if we need someone at that price point, I think it's perfect. Two others I like at that price point are Gallagher and Zaha again. I think they're 8.5 and 8.4. Again, targeting Leicester who are playing tonight again. I think that might not be bad. I think Palace were unbelievable on Monday. Like I thought they looked amazing. So, and Zaha's got the penalties as well. So I don't mind either of those.
Would you go for him over Gallagher?
I think it's close because Gallagher didn't get anything on Monday, did he? But I do think he looked quite involved still. I think I like Zaha for 0.1 cheaper. Yeah, I think he is just more attacking. He's like an actual attacker, whereas Gallagher comes from a bit deeper, doesn't he?
Yep. So Zaha it is. What about Raphinha? Because I mean, he's 9.9, which is quite pricey. Watford's home record though is unbelievably bad. I think they won one game all season at home, which was against United.
Yeah, I know they've been like attacking more at home, which leaves them quite vulnerable at defence. Whereas like when they play away, they just shut up shop and just try and hold it. Like they try not to. They don't go forward very much. I've got Raphinha written down at 9.9, and I feel sort of the same as you. I've written a question mark next to it because I think I want him because I love the fixture, but is it a bit too much? I think I'm siding towards that I would pick him just about because Watford are so bad. You know what I mean? I think it is. I think it's one of those that I'd just about go with.
Because I think we probably dodged the Southampton-Chelsea game altogether. Because unless we went for a Southampton player, Chelsea are just all over the place at the moment.
You know who I've got written down, of course, but I mean, like,
here we go. Here we go. How much is he?
I'm not. He's 7.3. I'm not saying it today. I think it's cheap. I do think.
Ward-Prowse 7.3.
I don't think we need it actually with what we've picked because, like you say, there's no expensive assets this week. Like we've got Kane in as like an 11-something sort of player, but I don't think we need as cheap as that this week. I think there's enough with like Trent and Robertson as enablers. You know what I mean? Or like the Burnley defenders are 7.4 and 7.3 for Taylor and Roberts. Now Charlie Taylor looked so attacking last night as well. I think 7.4 away at Norwich. I think that's a good price as well to complete our defence, maybe.
Yeah, well, should we grab Taylor and Pope?
Yeah, let's do that. I like that as the double up because I think you just got to back a clean sheet this week. And I think if you pick the right one, it's going to be quite spread across all the games because I think that there's a few cleans in potentially, but not a really clear one. So, yeah, I think if we go with Burnley, that seems good.
Yep, and that gives us 12.8 for our final spot.
Well, that's anyone on the game then, isn't it? So
anyone on the game. Who'd you fancy?
Yeah. We might have to spend some money in another slot. I'm thinking now, maybe we upgrade Pope to Ramsdale and just say we think Arsenal are more likely to keep it clean than Burnley because we got the money. You know what I mean?
Gives us 10.8.
Yeah, that's still plenty. I think it's just anyone other than like Chelsea and Tottenham players, isn't it? Basically, I think and Arsenal as we've talked about, but we've already got 3 Arsenal.
Matt Doherty.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think he was one I looked at as like an attacking defender where I don't 100% fancy the clean sheet, but he's looked so good going forward. I think he might just pay off his price anyway.
Or we've got enough for Son.
I think you take Son over Doherty, don't you? I think even though Son's poorer away, I think you take Son. Do you fancy Villa to score in this one?
Well, I've got Coutinho in my field team, and so my heart says yes. But I haven't been impressed with them at all last couple of games. I thought that Wolves game, like I said, I thought that was going to be, that would be a game they'd be really up for. They'd get stuck in. Wolves had those injuries and the suspension to Jimenez. And apart from, it was a dodgy penalty, a really dodgy penalty, I thought, I don't know how they could give that really. But other than that, there was nothing really from Villa that troubled Wolves. So no, I don't think they score. I think Spurs probably keep them out.
I was upset with that one because as we talked about on the street, I was quite heavily advocating both sides as like reasonable clean sheet chances. So I had loads of Wolves defence, and like I felt a bit robbed with that one, to be honest. I think Wolves deserved a clean sheet in that game, but yeah. Okay then, so it makes it closer between Doherty and Son then, but if you think Son is more likely to, I think let's just go Son.
We've got 500k left, which is rare for us to actually have some money left over.
I think the budget's just very kind this week, mate. I think a lot of people are going to be left with $1 million in the bank with a team they're really happy with. Like, as you talked about, like, I know you said you don't particularly fancy Villa to score, but Coutinho is only 8. I thought that was an all right price as well. If someone did fancy Villa to score, I think he'd be the one I'd still go for, I think. Salah at 9-2, it makes everything easier, doesn't it? Rather than when he's 13 or 14. So
it really does, yeah. I mean, there's not really too many other things I'm looking at. I mean, the Southampton-Chelsea game is an interesting one. Which way do you kind of see that going? Because looking at their prices, I mean, they're expensive. You've got Mount 11.5, Havertz 11.2, Ziyech 10.9, Pulisic 10.8. In defence, Reece James 9.7. He's probably the one that you go for because you're going to get the safety net. With Alonso or Rudiger, he's right at the top, so you'll get kind of any of them. So I guess Reece James would be the one that I'd pick out of that, but a lot of money.
I think maybe you don't need it this week would be the argument, but I think if you were just like looking at it in a vacuum, I think I just prefer the Southampton prices across the board, to be honest. Like I think the game is going to be close enough, or I hope in my mind, I think it's going to be close enough that you'd want the 7 million assets rather than the 10, 11 million assets. You know what I mean? So
Adam 6.9, your mate Ward-Prowse 7.3.
I think if you've got the money spare, it's fine to pick a Chelsea player because, again, they could bounce back after 2 really bad results. I mean, these could both be, not so much the Brentford game, but the Real Madrid game could be like a season-defining result now because that's probably the main front they were fighting on, I think. They probably want to try and retain their Champions League title now because I think third's pretty secure after Arsenal's result on Monday. I think Chelsea are still going to finish third. But they'll really want to get a win after the last 2 results. I mean, they've been pretty horrendous results, both at home as well, right?
Yeah.
Brentford and Real Madrid, just like, yeah. I think I see a 1-1 here. I don't know. I
think a draw. I think a sit on the fence 1-1 is probably quite likely. The thing is, they're both teams that can show up, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Everton won it or lost. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea won it or lost. It's it's very kind of lazy punditry to say that you're not really sure, but these two teams, like Southampton, are so unpredictable because I was doing Black Box last night with Luke, and he kind of pointed out when you think Southampton are on the beach or you think they're out of it, they suddenly just bring in a performance and win really comfortably. Or they can put a performance like they put against City when they drew that game, right? Was it 0-0 or did they narrowly lose? But they can frustrate teams, and I think Chelsea could be a team they frustrate.
Yeah, Southampton have drawn to City twice this year. I think it's 0-0 and 1-1.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, 0-0, 1-1. So like they've definitely got it in them. And like last week, I fancied them to win actually, but I think they ended up drawing 1-1 with Leeds. But I think it was a decent game. Like I think they've always got a draw in them. I think they drew to United a few weeks ago as well. I mean, that's no achievement anymore.
It would have been impressive a couple of seasons ago. But
10 years ago, that would have been a great result. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking at our team and like, it's making me think that on a lot of the season games, to just bring that in for a second, it's just good to roll this week because I think what we've picked on the screen looks similar to what a lot of people's season-long teams will look like on like every game. You know what I mean? And like, I think it's just like a good week to roll this week with all the doubles coming up in week after week after week. You know what I mean? So
how are you getting on in the season game?
Yeah, I'm not doing so good. So I think I've got about 60 of my teams in the money out of 100. Which is good, obviously, but my best one's all the way down at like 700th now. It's just like I fell off a cliff. I think I was
200th.
I was 200th last time we spoke. Yeah, I've just not got anything right for the last few weeks, and I think the week before last, so that was the big blank game week. I think where there was only 4 games. I think I dropped from 150th to 500th or something like that in 1 week, or it was just like I didn't have any of the right players, so. I think I missed Son and Doherty or something. I think I had neither. So, that's like sort of ended ended any chance of a really, really high finish now. So I just have to do the boring job now of getting all the medium teams in the money, you know what I mean, to like double my money. So
all of my teams are out of it except for one, which is 1,500.
Yeah, you're going to go past me. Like at this rate, I was going to say I've currently got triple Burnley defence on my top team. I think because I really went for it this week. I fancied them for the Everton clean, and it obviously didn't come off. So I think I'm sort of stuck with that now because they've obviously got Norwich this week. Then they've got a double next week. So I've just got to like run with it now and just hope it.
All these Weghorst owners, they are stuck.
Well, at least I don't have him. Yeah, I was going to say. But, unfortunately, I've just got some slightly cheaper ones in defence. So yeah, hopefully they get a clean in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I went all in on Burnley, and basically I've come out of it thinking never go all in on Burnley. Basically, is the summary. So
just shows how overexcited we all get. Just attritional games, loads and loads of games. But did you see that stat? They're like the 98th worst team out of all 98 teams across Europe's top divisions for possession, progressive passing. Like there's like 8 stats or something, and they're like rock bottom of literally everything. But he's going to keep them up because it's Sean Dyche.
He did a great interview yesterday. I know he did a dig at Everton, but he also said, we did a few great passes yesterday, as if like doing like 3 passes in a game was like one of the best things you could do. He was like, we did 2 or 3 lovely passes, and I was thinking like, but most teams like will not have that as their bar set. You know what I mean? They'll want to aim a bit higher than that. But
would you ever have thought that game was going to be 3-2? 3-2. I thought it was going to be like 1-0 either way or something really cagey.
It shows the importance of like an early-ish goal in a game, though. You know what I mean? It can just open it wide up, especially in an important game like that. And it was obviously 1-1 after 18 minutes. And once it's hit that, there's every chance it's just going to go nuts. You know what I mean? If one goes ahead, the other one has to throw everything. Like, yeah, that if that game got to 40 minutes at 0-0, you can just see it staying 0-0 for full time. You know what I mean? But it's just, really great result for Burnley. Like probably. Do you reckon it's as important as this week's title deciding game? Because I think in a way, I think it genuinely was last night. I think it was a huge game.
Yeah, well, I think Everton go down. I said it a few weeks ago. For Scout, I looked at all the kind of fixtures for the remaining teams, and you look at Everton's remaining fixtures. I cannot see them getting another win between now and the end of the season. They're just not good enough, and they've got tough opponents. And Lampard hasn't got any clue of what to do tactically. So I think it was massive because I think if they beat Burnley, I think they could almost afford to lose or pick up like 1 or 2 more points and probably still stay up. But now Burnley are going to beat Norwich, and then it's Everton in the relegation spot. So I think it's massive. I think it was a massive game. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about Everton, they've got to target specific games, as you say, because there's some that like they've got Liverpool and Chelsea back to back in the next couple of weeks, I think, which is just like that feels really tough. But they do have Leicester to play twice. Now that could be a great game to have at this point in the season, with Leicester throwing all their eggs into the Conference League bucket. So they really want Leicester to go through, I think, because I think that will really, really help them in terms of like what team Leicester put out in these. They've got to play them twice, which is really weird. So in the 2 fixtures, like Everton are probably looking and thinking, we've got to get 4 points from them 2 games now. Like they absolutely have to, because the rest are not looking very good at all, to be honest.
Yeah, but then you look at some of Burnley's fixtures, and they're going to be doing the same thing, looking at what games they can target. And I think they've got Watford to play. They've got 2 games against Villa, who aren't exactly in great shakes at the moment. Newcastle at home on the final day is probably something they would. Their home games are decent. Southampton, Wolves, Villa, Newcastle, and then you kind of compare that to Everton's home games, and they cannot win away. They were going to lose every game away. That's just a given. Their home games have got Leicester, like you mentioned, got Chelsea at home. It's really Brentford and Palace in 37. And that's going to be the key, really. I can't see them beating Brentford or Palace at the moment.
Yeah. Burnley have got 9 games left, and I would say 8 of them are potentially winnable. I'm not saying they're going to win all of them, but they've got 8 chances. You know what I mean? I think they probably won't beat Spurs away, but I think every other game they've got a chance of winning. Like they've got some chance in the game. And when you've got 8 tickets to the lottery, it's better than having sort of 4 tickets to the lottery, which is what it looks like Everton have got. You know what I mean? Considering they've got Liverpool, Chelsea. Okay, United aren't great, but I don't see Everton beating United this weekend. So it's like, yeah, I think advantage very much Burnley. I was going to back them to stay up actually yesterday, but the price wasn't big enough because I think the bookies were onto it as well. Even before the Everton game, I think the bookies thought Burnley have just got a very, very good chance to stay up, and even better now.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if Everton had won that game yesterday, that would have taken them to 28 points, and Burnley would have been on 21, having played the same amount of games. So you wouldn't back Burnley I don't think, to make up 7 points on that. But now there's 1 point in it.
Burnley are huge favourites now. There's 1 point in it. Like I reckon the odds have absolutely slashed even more after last night. Needless to say, because that's how. Like I said, that was my point initially. That's how important it was last night. The difference between 7 points. Okay, if they drew, it's 4 points, but then the other way where Burnley wins 1 point now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah,
crazy,
completely different. And that no one else gets dragged into this now, do they? It's just a straight shootout now, I think, isn't it, between those two, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean Leeds are on 30 points now. I think they pick up more points as well. They've been playing really well. There's nothing to suggest that Leeds are going to lose every game. So I think Leeds get to 34, 35 points probably quite comfortably. So, and I think Brighton just need to get a couple more points, and we're probably fine. I can't see anyone else being dragged into. I mean, Newcastle are on 31, and there's a bit of a dip at the moment, but Everton aren't going to get 6 points.
I think Brentford would have been the ones I would have thought before last weekend, but that result was so huge again. It's just another one. Like, it's just a season securing result last weekend. Like if they were level with Leeds right now, which is where they would be if they'd lost last week, right? I would fancy them more so than Leeds to get dragged into it, I think. But not now. No chance now. I think all the teams above get similar points to Everton and Burnley, which means that Everton and Burnley will just never catch them, basically.
Exactly. That's what I think so.
Yep.
Nice one. Okay, that's us done for this week. We'll be back again next week ahead of Gameweek 33. Pretty easy till the end of till the end now. No more international breaks or anything to worry about. So we'll be here each week. But Josh, thanks for joining me as always.
Thanks, mate.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, definitely. See ya.